Okay, so my name is Donna Schieffer, and I teach in Fresno, California at a high school called Central High School. There are two campuses. I teach at the West Campus, primarily biology and zoology, and I am this year's 2016 award winner. So I never had the intention of becoming a teacher. I was a biology major right out of college. I ended up getting a position at a children's hospital and was working as a pathology assistant where I did autopsies and surgical grossing for the head pathologist, and then eventually worked in the laboratory. And it was at probably that second year in where I was asked by one of the head pathologists if I would like to become a med tech. And I really thought seriously about that career choice. And then something just hit me. It was just like one day I just thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I know what I'm going to be doing every single day at 4 o'clock for the rest of my career. And that really scared me. And I thought, there's no way I could imagine living the rest of my career like this. I needed difference. I needed to feel like I wasn't just running labs, but that I was making a bigger change. And so I thought, okay, maybe I'll go and take a look at what the teaching credential looks like. What is the investment? Is that even something that I would be interested in? And sure enough, I took my first class and I was hooked. So that's when I knew. Well, of course, the subject matter is very important, but first and foremost, you need to understand how a student thinks. You need to get into the mind of a student. You need to know how you can best serve that student. So what I would want somebody, a master teacher, to tell me, or somebody that was advising me maybe in whether or not this is the right career choice for them, is to ask themselves, do I care about the student first? Do I want to make a difference in this student's life? And do I believe that this is a calling for me? Teaching really needs to be a calling. It's not a job. Well, it's one of those things where, I teach at all different levels. I have mainstream biology classes all the way up to AP classes. Now, when you first start off as a new teacher, I think a lot of it is that you're just trying to understand a little bit more about yourself, your style, learning what works for you, learning what doesn't work for you, and trying out different modalities. So hopefully you would be in a situation where you didn't have many different preps that you had to practice for, to teach for, as well as going through your induction plan. But as you move on, that you try to continue to challenge yourself. You become a lifelong learner because this is the only way that you're going to stay at the cutting edge of your teaching game. So what might look like a great biology teacher who is teaching in the inner cities and teaching a group of people who may be working at a different level than, say, somebody who is coming from a preparatory school and is functioning to academically what the highest peak would be on a normal level. You have to understand your audience first. You have to know how to push them to get to the apex of their game. And you also have to understand that not every student is going to fit into one mold. So now you have to identify, what can this student bring? This student may be a master at something spatial, but they don't do so well in something on paper. So find those things that they can do well, and then try to harbor those in their learning. I come from an extremely diverse student body, so we have all of those things. So what we usually do at our high school is we identify where those students are best fit, but it doesn't always work. So sometimes you'll get students who really should be put on an accelerated track of classes where their learning goes much faster, but they're working in a mainstream class. So now you have these different learning areas. You've got maybe students that are first year who are coming from outside of the country, and so now you have, as a teacher, a group of people who are still just getting the language down, where you have others who are looking to move forward and faster. And what I found works best for me is to take those students who are a little bit more advanced and pull them in as a teacher. Because what they can do now is they can use their skill set to only strengthen themselves, but they're also giving back to the rest of their class. So it gives them a sense of purpose. It helps them to understand, hey, maybe this is something that I could do. And that could later on lend itself to helping out at lunchtime or becoming a tutor. I also run a service organization group. So Interact is a group that we have at our high school. And so lots of kids come back and say, hey, do you think I could come and get volunteer hours for helping out? And that's what the game is all about, is helping out everybody that you can, whether or not it's in your school, whether or not it's in your community or outside of that.